12 o'clock, right on the nose. There you are, Miss Cinderella. Home right on the stroke of midnight. I'd better scram before my chariot out there turns back into a pumpkin.
You turn back into a mouse.
I resent that.
Okay, if you're not a mouse, stick around and explain things to Grandpa.
Not me, Barbara. This is where I came in. Good night.
Good night, Mr. Mouse.
Barbara? Is that you, Barbara?
What are you doing up at this hour of the night?
What are you doing up at this hour of the night?
I asked you first.
Well, honey, I just had a few things to do.
Grandpa, you make more work out of being retired than anyone I know.
Well, you know how it is with we Smiths. We never retire. What'd you say you did?
All right, Mr. Busybody, I give in. I was at Muriel Fleming's birthday party.
Oh, Senator Fleming's daughter, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Mixing with kind of important people, aren't you?
Oh, sure. And Rodney Sprague was there, you know, Judge Sprague's son.
Mm-hmm.
And Harriet Hillary, her father's a scientist that won a Nobel Prize. And, oh yes, Bobby Brunson, the inventor's son. Ooh, it was a very, very distinguished gathering.
Well, how'd you do?
Oh, pretty good. Except when it came to family traditions and history. You know, I think we Smiths take up too much space in the phone book and not enough in the blue book.
Would you have a good time?
Oh, so-so. We danced a while to the radio, and I helped Muriel get something to eat for the gang, and Muriel's father phoned her from Washington at 10:30. We all waited for that. And then Bill and I left.
Nothing exciting. Trouble with you kids is you're spoiled. You got a lot of good things. There they are, and you take them for granted. Still, I suppose we're all that way. We never stopped to think that somebody had to invent them, and somebody had to have the courage to back them up. Yes, and what's more, somebody had to have the get-up to go out and sell them. Why, look here. This evening you made a 40-mile trip over a smooth highway. You danced in a room lighted by electricity. Over the radio, you had the pick of the best bands in the country. And maybe the music you tuned in came from 3,000 miles away. You heard a girl telephone her father in a distant city. When I was a youngster, a letter would have been carried a good part of the way on horseback, and that was the best we could do. You scurried up a meal for that crowd of youngsters in no time at all, and in a kitchen that had all kinds of time and work-saving gadgets, an electric refrigerator, electric percolator and toaster, gas range, hot and cold water at the turn of a faucet. Why, 100 years ago, not one of those things could have happened. The telephone and radio hadn't even been imagined. The house would have been lighted by candles. You'd have cooked over a fireplace and carried water from a well. And that 40 miles you covered this evening to the party and back would have taken 2 days by horse and wagon over a bumpy country road. The same kind of a road my Uncle Calvin, he was your great-granduncle, used to drive over. Uncle Calvin sold a brand new invention, an invention that would make life better. It was the kerosene lamp.
Evening, Miss Withers. I've got something here I'd like to show you.
Well, I'm a mite busy right now. What is it?
This right here, it's a coal oil lamp.
A coal oil lamp?
Yes.
Well, I allow as how I never even heard of it.
What's the matter, Monty? What has he got?
It's a new invention, a coal oil lamp.
Oh, well, we've got no time to bother with it. We're just about to have our supper.
Now, hold on, Mr. Withers. Let me tell you about this lamp. It's going to make things a lot easier and pleasanter for you. You see, it takes the place of candles.
My father got along without using newfangled contraptions, and so do I.
It gives a brighter light than a candle, No flickering and easy on the eyes. Why, you can read the finest print by it.
My father got along without reading fine print, and so do I.
It's a lot cleaner, too. You know, Miss Withers, how candles are, always dripping grease on your clothes and on your tablecloth. Candles make washing.
My father got along without washing, and so do...
Esri, never mind. How do I know what you're telling me about this lamp is the truth?
You just let me come in and light it. I'll show you. If this lamp don't beat any candle all to holler, I'll make you a present of it.
Well, I don't know. I ain't so keen on letting strangers come into my house, and I don't seem to recollect you.
My name's Smith.
Well, there's a lot of Smiths.
I'm Calvin Smith. Say, maybe you know my brother David. He's in the life insurance business.
Well, howdy, Calvin. Haven't seen you around for a couple of days.
No, I've been up in Ashford County.
How's the lamps going?
Oh, mighty slow. You know, David, I just can't understand it. Those lamps are so much better than candles, there just isn't any comparison. Why, anybody can see they're better. Yet I don't know. It just seems like they want to go on using candles.
Well, human nature's slow to change, Calvin.
Yes, but when you offer a man something that's going to make his life a lot better, you'd think they'd be coming to me instead of me having to go to them.
No, I wouldn't. I know better. I found that out a long time ago with life insurance. That's something that makes life better, too. A whole lot better.
Nobody could argue with you on that, Dave.
But they do, just the same. I have to ride around and sell it. I've got to show every man I talk to just where and how it fits into his scheme of things. Oh, say, that reminds me. If you're not going to be busy for a while, I'd like to have you mind the office for me. I'm riding out to see John Campion.
Sure, I'll mind your office for a spell. But you're making a mistake, David. John Campion's a hard, stubborn man.
I know that. I've talked to him before, a good many times.
When I called on him, he ordered me off the place. Well, I wouldn't go back there again if I never sold a lamp. You better let him go, David.
I'm afraid I can't. Life insurance and its benefits are too important to neglect anyone, especially when they're your neighbors and you know their families. Well, I don't know, but I think I'm going to get along all right with John Campion. Howdy, John. John, I think maybe I've made a mistake. Maybe the reason you and I haven't been hitting it off is because I haven't explained life insurance right. You see, well, it isn't like I've been coming out here trying to sell you something. I'm asking you to join into a partnership. A partnership with a lot of other men, so you'll have security. That's what life insurance is. A partnership for security.
I don't need no security.
Well, but look, John, suppose something should happen to you. Who's going to provide for your wife and your family? Who's going to look after them? I'm offering you peace of mind and protection. Peace of mind for yourself and protection for those you love.
I told you I didn't want to be bothered. I'm tired of listening to you. Now you get off my land, Dave Smith, and stay off. Because if you don't, I'll put you off.
Well, John, I guess you're going to have to put me off because I've come back to talk to you about your life and the lives of those youngsters.
That afternoon, John Campion took out his first policy. And later, when he died of typhoid, the Campion children were well cared for.
David was my great-grandfather, wasn't he?
Yes, my father. One evening, he went out to settle a claim. And while fording a creek swollen by spring rains, he was drowned. If Dave Smith had been a soldier, a statesman, they'd have called him. But your great-grandfather was just a salesman going about his regular work. I was about 18 years old then.
I don't want to discourage you, Sam, but as your father's lawyer, I am bound to tell you what I think. You understand that?
Yes, sir.
You're pretty young to take over your father's business.
Well, there's no one else, sir, and besides, I know quite a bit about it. You see, I've been sort of studying up.
Yes, there's a lot of new things coming up. Endowment policies and the like. You see, the insurance business is improving right along with everything else.
I know that, Mr. Wilkes.
Besides, there's something else, Sam. Sit down. I'd like to talk with you about it. You know, this life insurance business means a lot of hard work.
I know that.
I'm not trying to influence you, son. I'm merely making sure that you know your own mind. I'd hate to see you start out and then want to give up the business for something more interesting.
Well, I don't know what would be more interesting.
Well, all of the young fellows are going west now. The railroads have opened up the country. It's a big boom in real estate and building, and you might want to get into it.
I will be in it, sorta. Why, Mr. Wilkes, where do you think the flow of mortgage money is coming from to make those real estate developments possible? From life insurance money.
Yes, but I mean,
You say the railroads have opened up the West. Well, in a way, life insurance has helped to build the railroads. Life insurance funds have gone into sound railroad security just as fast as they've developed.
I know, Sam.
And
but,
another thing, Mr. Wilkes, I was reading in the paper about Thomas Edison opening up the first electric generating plant down in New York City. Of course, there's only one of those now. But this country's going to need hundreds of them, scattered all over the landscape to furnish power for factories and to light homes and...
I'll admit that the country's going ahead all right, Sam. But don't you think we're getting just a bit off the subject of life insurance?
No, sir. That's exactly what I'm talking about.
Well, I'm afraid I can't quite see the connection.
Well, look here, Mr. Wilkes. It's going to take money to build those generating plants, and a lot of that money is going to come from life insurance funds. You wait and see. Life insurance is one of the big reasons why this country is going ahead.
Well, I don't know, but I sort of get the idea that you want to sell life insurance.
Yes, sir.
Your father would have wanted it that way. He was a great man, Sam. I don't mean famous. I mean great. There are a lot of great men we never hear about. There was one thing more that he bequeathed to you in his will, and I waited until now to give it to you.
Gee, at 8:32, if I'm going to get anywhere, I guess I better get started. Hello. Yes, this is Sam Smith. Who? George. Not Cousin George. Well, sakes alive. I haven't seen you in 20 years. Say, where are you? What are you doing over there? Huh? Well, when I haven't seen a man in 20 years, I guess I can take a day off. Huh? Oh, sure, I'll find you. Be right over. George Smith?
Your cousin Sam.
You betcha. Well, you haven't changed a bit. You've gotten a little heavier, maybe.
You haven't
but-
changed much yourself.
Well, the last time I heard from you, you were out in Kansas somewhere selling threshing machines.
I got the agency for those machines now.
Well,
But I've been investing my money lately along with another fellow in a new invention. That's why I'm here. I'm demonstrating it.
oh, a new kind of thresher?
No, no, no. This is something altogether different. Wait till you see it. There. There she is.
Well, a horseless carrot.
Well, some folks call it that, but we call it an automobile.
Well, sakes alive. I've read about them, but say, what are you doing down here with it?
I'm gonna race it.
Race it? Against what?
Against a horse.
Imagine racing this thing against a horse.
That man must be crazy.
Something else for you to remember. With this machine, you can travel around and see and learn things about your country. It'll speed up your business, and it'll give pleasure to millions of people.
It won't be pleasure speeding around the roads out where I live.
Hey, you get enough of these automobiles on it, and they'll fix your road. They'll fix all the roads. They'll put in great highway systems. What you're looking at here is the beginning of a new and better way of life.
How much did it cost you to build this shebang, George?
Oh, about $20,000.
Well, how many people can afford to pay $20,000 for a luxury like this?
Well, not many, that's true. But this is only an experimental model. We can build duplicates quite a bit cheaper.
Well, it'd have to be cheaper. A lot cheaper.
They will be. Why, I'll venture to say someday we'll be able to sell them for $1,000, or maybe less. And that's no dream either. All we have to do is get out and sell them. By broadening the market, by getting more and more people to buy automobiles, we can build them cheaper and better. This is only the start. Why, say, you'll be driving one yourself someday.
No, sir, not me. Good morning, Mary.
Hello, Sam.
George! Well, when did you get in town?
Just got in this morning.
Well, you're certainly looking fit and prosperous.
Well, judging from this new office, you seem to be doing all right.
Oh, I managed to keep up with the times, but I still have to get around and sell.
You certainly get around in style.
Huh? Oh, yes. That's my 10th car. And it does more things and gives me more for my money than any car I ever owned.
And I recall when you said you'd never ride in one.
Well, I guess salesmanship finally got me.
Do you remember what I said that day at the county fair about broadening the market? What I said would happen when more people bought cars?
Yes, and everything you said came true. But don't you think you've got an exclusive patent on this broadening the market business? We've done the same thing with life insurance, and it's worked out the same way.
Now, Sam, you don't have to sell me.
I'm just telling you. Why, life insurance does more things now that back in the old days we never dreamed of. But by broadening the market and broadening its use, well, the company's risks have been reduced and you get more for your money.
You seem to be collecting quite an audience.
Well, hello, Francia. What can I do for you?
My mama's going to the store. She sent me in here to wait for her.
Well, listen, honey, that's fine. You just come right over here and sit down right there. Make yourself at home. Oh, and here's a book with some pretty pictures in it. Why, look, there's a picture of an automobile this man here is making.
Are you making an automobile?
Mm-hmm, that's right.
Will you give it to me when it's finished?
Well, now, I don't know. Do you think that would be proper for me to give you a present on such short acquaintance?
Mr. Smith gives me presents. He sends me money.
He does? Why?
Because my papa was in an accident, and he can't come back ever.
Now, Francie, you go on and look at the pictures, honey.
And Mama says if it hadn't been for Mr. Smith, we couldn't...
Now, Francie, you mustn't bother us, honey. Why, we're talking business.
What's business?
My job. Now, you be quiet.
What's your job?
Why, he's a salesman, honey. And someday I think you're going to be awfully glad he is.
Well, I guess all of us would be glad there were salesmen if we stopped to think of what an important job a salesman fills. We talk about being sold when we're being served. Now, you take Mr. MacArthur down at the grocery store. I'll admit Ben MacArthur doesn't look important, but when he started in business, you bought cereals and crackers out of open barrels and butter out of a tub. MacArthur's was the first grocery in this neighborhood to sell its customers on packaged goods. And while maybe Ben didn't think of it in that way, he was really selling convenience, cleanliness, and better health. And then there's Tony Briggs, just a clerk in a drugstore selling merchandise. But it's been salesmen like him who have helped put over the idea of hygiene. And it's salesmen like him the community depends on for emergency service when there's a sickness or an accident. And speaking of sickness, that reminds me of Dr. Westfall. Today you'd never think of him as a salesman. Yet I can remember when he was a young doctor making his rounds and selling folks on vaccination. Now take your dad. If you'd ask him what he is, he'd say an insurance salesman. Yet he spends lots and lots of time right at his desk serving his clients, handling problems of security, and because nowadays life insurance covers such a wide range of security, he has a lot greater responsibility than I had in my time. He has to work harder. He has to know more. He has to know about retirement policies and family income, educational endowments, life insurance trusts, and a lot of other improvements which have come in since my day. He has to tailor and fit an insurance program to fit each client's particular needs, plan it to meet all contingencies.
So far, so good. But what if something should happen that I couldn't go on working, protecting the business?
Yes, I've provided for that, too. It's outlined on pages 6 and 7.
He has to continue to serve his clients.
All through the years, Mr. Gilmore, your policies have been building up life insurance values for your family and yourself. And now that your family has grown up and is well provided for, and your own life insurance needs are somewhat reduced, I'd suggest that you exercise your privileges under your policy and convert some of your insurance and provide yourself with some retirement income. Suppose you take this plan and look it over.
He has to serve his clients' beneficiaries.
Yes, Mrs. Page, part of the insurance was to be paid monthly on a family income basis, and the balance to be paid in a single sum. But if you prefer, you have the privilege of taking it all on a family income basis. And after looking over your expenses and obligations, that's what I'd suggest. Yep, you can talk about the good old days, but for me, I'll take these better new days. Oh, but sakes, here it is way after midnight and I'm rambling on.
I guess at that, Grandpa, this is a pretty darn good country to live in.
You bet it is. And you can thank men like Uncle Calvin, who showed folks they didn't have to go on using candles. Yes, and men like Cousin George, who sold them automobiles. And men like your great-grandfather and your dad, who have brought the benefits of life insurance to 64 million people.
You know, Grandpa, when the other girls have bragged about their ancestry and their family trees, I never had much to say because, well, we were just the Smiths and all my relatives have been salesmen. But from now on, I'm going to have plenty to say. You know what I think? I think the Smiths should have some kind of a medal or coat of arms.
And you know what I think?
What?
I think you better be getting off to bed.
How about you getting a little sleep?
Oh, I'll be turning in pretty soon. I got a few things here I want to attend to.
All right. Good night.
Good night, dear. Coat of arms, huh? Coat of arms for the Smiths. Shucks, we got one.